Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. I think we first started chatting, doing interviews. It was maybe 2018 or 17 or something like that.
Damn.
I don't know. I'm not for sure. But this was before you fought for one championship. You're still fighting locally.
Yeah.
And I think Diamondback, was it?
Yeah. Well, I fought in Australia. I fought on Diamondback, Eternal. But yeah, probably most likely the Diamondback fight was around 2018. I think that's when I got signed to 1FC. So probably when I fought, I can't remember who I fought in Diamondback that day. And yeah, but that was a while back now, man. Making me feel old.
Yeah, fast forward a few years, you know what I mean? And you know, you've competed for one championship. You competed for a PFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you competed for the highest level in Australia as well. Did some boxing. You know, a lot of grappling. You know what I mean? And let's just start off with right now, before we rewind a little bit of you being in Phuket, and what's the purpose of you being out here?
Funny, the purpose, I guess, is just, well, as always, just living life. I'm always just enjoying myself, doing sort of whatever comes to my mind to make me happy. So I wanted to come back to Phuket because I love this place. And then I get married in December to my beautiful fiancée Annalise. I have to say that because otherwise I'll get in trouble. But she is beautiful. Yeah, so I come out here to make my suits. Brought some of my groomsmen out here too, got them measured up for the suits for the wedding. And yeah, to train, man. I've been hearing a lot about Bang Tao, about the Hickman brothers, about the program out here. And yeah, so I love Phuket, and it was just a perfect excuse, I guess. I had to get some suits made and thought, why not?
All right. Well, you know, you're a free agent as well right now at the moment, and you've been on your grind trying to get signed and get fights wherever you can. Now, the whole big news was for last year was the whole PFL and Bellator, merging together, or PFL buying Bellator, and how that would benefit fighters and whatnot. What do you see in that whole deal? How has it affected free agency, do you think?
I mean, the good thing about it is, and it's all about having any sort of other powerhouse organization outside of the UFC is you got options, you got choices, you got the fighters can sort of, I guess in a way, I mean, look at a guy like Paul Hughes. He was being offered a contract by the UFC. He didn't like the deal. It was a bit of a rip-off. As a lot of fighters will tell you that's what they do. And then he had the PFL's offer come over, and he liked that a lot better. So that in itself is an awesome feeling, I guess, for fighters to know that you can sort of maybe pick and choose on, you're not forced to the one organisation. Which, let's be honest, and I think they've settled that case now. They were doing a bit of some dodgy stuff, but that's business, and that's for them to sort out. But yeah, to have free agency and to have multiple organisations, even one FC. It's awesome, for the fighters, and it's also all good for the sport. Hopefully UAE Warriors can even continue to grow, because I think the more competitions will create, I think, better for the fighters. But then you run into that problem like boxing, and then you've got 10 belts, 10 champions, and then you've got that drama. But I mean, for free agency, I think it's a good thing to have multiple options.
Oh, for sure. Multiple options is always good. It's just, when you go behind the scenes and behind closed doors, that's where I think they should be fixing things. You know what I mean? But when you got power, it's hard to release that power.
And it's also, I think in terms of the UFC especially, they are in a way they're not, but they are going to be remembered as the guys that created MMA, but they're not the ones that created MMA. But they also control the market. They control the, everything about it in terms of, I don't know, and they're the leaders of it too, in a way. So until someone can build an organisation that is different and that is, not what the UFC are trying to create, I think that's the only way to get a hold of them. I mean, 1FC were doing, I think, a great job, and I think that's what forced the UFC to bring on more kickboxers into their fighting. Now they're signing up, they're trying to get Pereira to fight that other kickboxer. It's like, what are we doing here, boys? MMA or kickboxing? I don't know what's happening here. We're looking for the best MMA fighter or the best entertainment fights anymore. So I think 1FC shook the UFC a bit with the Muay Thai and that, and they showed some amazing fighters and some amazing abilities out there. But yeah, I think they're sort of the only ones that really gave it a bit of a shake. I mean, the PFL got that $1 million tournament, which is also cool. But yeah, at the moment, the UFC are the front runners, and I just would like to see an organization come in and do something totally different to them. Yeah, but
yeah, of course, nothing against the UFC. I mean, UFC is the UFC.
Yeah, thank God for the UFC, because if the UFC weren't here,
it'd be where would you be fighting?
Yeah, exactly. The gyms wouldn't be available. No. They would be. They have created a market and a business in themselves for other people too. So, credit to them. But they are businessmen, and they know how to sign people for low contracts and stuff. But good on them. Hey, every business is doing them, bro.
Yeah, it's business.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of things are lost now in that is because a lot of people are purists, right? They're there for the fighting, they're there for the training, they're there for the matches, the matchups, they're there for the violence, and anything outside of that is just like they're not really interested in it. But in reality now it's more of a business than ever before, right?
Yeah.
And you've probably experienced that, in free agency, kind of looking at different promotions and trying to figure out like what's best for your career.
But even in general, as being a fighter, the whole entire sport itself is a big business. Because at the end of the day, I'm the sort of person, I don't always think the guy who holds the belt is necessarily the best fighter on the planet. I believe there's a lot of us who can be good fighters. You just need that opportunity. Once again, that business opportunity to be put on the right platform, on the right stage, on the right day, and all of a sudden you are now a celebrity, you know what I mean? And you are the biggest name in the world. That's the hard part about business that I'm trying to say. I've noticed that, I'm a guy, okay, I'm 33, I'm 10-2 as an MMA fighter. I fought internationally a lot. I fought on big promotions. I've also got 7 pro boxing fights underneath me. I've got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I'm sort of in the position where I believe I'm Australia's best unsigned talent, and I'm sort of at a point where I'm like, how does that not get you the contract? But once again, it's a business thing. It's no longer about, purest of martial artists, because I think, the best guy should get the call up. And I know that's my opinion, but yeah, I've noticed that it's a business thing. Who's your manager? Yeah. Who do they know? Right time, right place. Are you the guy? Are we looking for an Australian who's 20-something years old from this specific? It's a lot of stuff like that, and that goes back to the business side of martial arts. But hey, I'm not complaining. I realised also that I had to turn myself into my own sort of business to create a life for my. I didn't want to rely on the companies to be paying me to make my money. Yeah. So that's why I think as a fighter I did all right, and that's why I'm still around. And hey, I'm still trying to hunt for that big contract and those big fights, because I think I've got the ability now to do it. But once again, we're in the business part of it.
Yeah. You gotta on top of the business, you gotta show them. You know what I mean, that you're going to be a great signing, or you're going to be a great signing.
You're going to make the company. You're committed, and you're going to make the company money. Yeah. Because there's a lot of guys in the UFC that I think I watch sometimes too, and I'm thinking, how the hell did you get a contract? Who the hell do you know to get that deal? So it's a tough business to weave through, but yeah, it's true. The company's going to look at you in many different ways. Are you going to make us money? Are you a draw card? Yeah, and that's fair enough. Dana White doesn't plan to go broke. No one does. Okay, we're all trying to make money.
Not with that slap fight stuff.
I mean, that's just wild. I can't believe they're doing that. But hey, it's the. I guess money. But as well, I think it's also the age we're living in. We're living in such a weird era of life. I think where. Yeah, I remember as a kid watching Celebrity Deathmatch and used to laugh my head off at it and think, how stupid is this thing? And it was cartoons. And it's becoming a reality now.
True.
Yeah, it is, bro. Like, people rather watch YouTubers fight over like world-class fighters.
Yeah, it is weird.
It's insanity. Yeah. And that's a purist view. Yeah. Look, from an entertainment point, and it's your money, you spend it how you want and watch what you want. But I'm sitting here thinking, I just want to see the best fighters fight. I don't want to see fucking some egghead from YouTube punch on with another. I want to see skills, man. You know what I mean? I don't mind watching these two fight if it's free. I'll watch it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how people are paying to watch, some of the fights they're watching. Even some of the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley fights, I was like, not Tyron. I mean, Tyron Woodley was, but I'm the other one, Askren. Yeah. The guy never threw a jab in his life. And then people were tuning in to watch him box. I'm like, wow, this doesn't really make sense. But hey, it made money, and that's all that matters to people now.
It does matter to people now.
Yeah, it does. It's one of the most common questions. I'm sure a lot of other MMA fighters will agree. Well, I actually would like to know this. I'm throwing it out there as a question. One of the most common questions I think, as an MMA fighter, get asked is, how much money do I make? All the time, which is very rude for starters. You shouldn't ask someone how much they make. And secondly, it's like, what does it matter? Does the money make more of an appealing thing to you, that you make big money to fight. What about if you just do it because you just want to be a good fighter?
Yeah, that is weird because you don't ask regular people.
Never, ever.
You don't go to a dentist, like you meet a dentist or a fucking a veterinarian. And you're like, yo, you know, like you got a lot of dogs coming through your shop. You know, like how much money you make?
It's honestly, I have this conversation often with my fiance and other people. I say I find it so strange. The very first question they asked is, "How'd you go? When's your next one? And then how much money did you make?" It's like, what? Like, what? You know what I mean? Which, like I said, I find very strange, because if you say hundreds of thousands, all of a sudden am I call a fighter? Yeah. If I say $5, am I loot? Like, what is it? Yeah. What is it? But that's just, that's a question out there for them MMA fighters. Do you get asked how much money you make?
I'm pretty sure they do, man, because it's prize fighting, number one. Yeah. And then that's something that's advertised a lot.
Yes.
In fighting and boxing or whatever. Not so much with MMA, because you know, the business side, but in boxing, you know, it's like this dude's making 40 million, you know, this dude's making 20 million, whatever. So I think the general public says, oh, you know, if you're doing that, you must be making this amount of money. But they don't know the reality.
Yeah, that's right. It's that's another thing I say to a lot of young fighters. I'm like, mate, don't get into MMA thinking you're gonna make money, because if you go on with that mindset, you're probably gonna have a tough time, because it's a tough, hard business. You know, like I said, I've been traveling since I was 19 years old, trying to acquire as many skills and as much knowledge as I can. Man, it's probably cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to, you know, to get out there, and I still ain't doing it. You know, I'm not crying poor, but at the same time, it's fucking grinding, man. It's not an easy sport, you know, and it might take you 10 years to get where you're going. So that's another big thing I say to these young martial artists. I say, you know, like, guys, be in it for the 10-year plan. Don't be in it for like, oh, in a year I'm gonna be Conor McGregor. It's like, hey, bro, I know the UFC sell it that way, but it doesn't work that way, bro. I'm sorry, man. And maybe it can. If you can do it in a year, bro, let me see. I can't wait to watch.
Well, there's always the 1 in a 10 billion person that says like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and that, and they do it. You know what I mean? That's what happens. That's. I think every fighter starts with this confidence in themselves. You know, as they get a little bit further in their career, that they build up a certain level of confidence, and then they start to have goals, but they might not say it out loud. But it's in their head. Like, yo, I'm fighting this guy. I want to fight this guy. And you know, some of those dudes do that and beat the guys that they thought they were going to fight, and then become this massive star. But how many stars, legitimately, how many like massive stars have we seen in this sport? Maybe 10.
Yeah, not too many. Not huge, like international stars you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, maybe 10. What, you got Conor McGregor, you know, guys like John Jones maybe. Yeah. But even
GSP maybe, like the list is very short.
Yeah, it is 100%. And that's a good way of looking at it. I never really, because they never ever. I mean, there is a. That's the thing. There was a mega star in Conor McGregor, but outside of him, it's like, you know,
Ronda Rousey. You know, those they reached a certain level of stardom, right? Like, where they maybe, like, Conor cannot go anywhere without people like swarming him. I'm pretty sure Ronda is not that. If she was still fighting, it would happen to her, but she's not. So she's kind of away from.
But still, she went into the movies. She went into the WWE. True. You know, she's that's celebrity status right there. And she's probably getting paid a pretty penny in the WWE as well. So that just shows her celebrity status. Yeah. You know.
Now going back to you, you know, you had 2 fights and 1 championship. You know, you went 1-1. Like, was that the deal that you had? Was it just 2 fights, or what happened? Did the pandemic affect you?
Yeah, so I had I think I had 3 fights on my contract. I fought once against Peter Baus in Indonesia. I lost that in a decision, and then I fought, I reckon about it, literally like a year to the day later, I fought Edward Falang, and that's when COVID. So I fought Baus, and then I went back to America. I was training, and then that's when COVID started. Yeah. So then I had to come home due to COVID. I could barely get out of my country, and then I got booked for a fight, so they let me leave the country. I had to go through a whole bunch of government paperwork. I finally got out, went to America, I trained, then I flew over to Singapore. I fought Edward Falang, I beat him on a decision, and then Singapore wasn't allowing you into the country anymore unless you were vaccinated. Australia wasn't letting people out of the country. You know, it went mayhem. It went Nazi Germany style, in my opinion, and I refused to be a part of it. And that was my decision. And I knew it was going to affect, you know, potentially it could have this effect on my career. I may not ever get to these places where I wanted to, you know, get to. But at the same time, I had a moral obligation. I believe in myself as a person, and also just as a human. I chose not to to do that. So yeah, I missed like 2 years of my career, you know, stuck at home, unable to train. I couldn't even go to America anymore. Yeah, and so I missed 2 years of that. So I said to 1FC, look, if you're not going to allow me to come in and compete, and look, it was out of their powers as well. It was Singapore that was imposing those laws, and we have to respect the country's laws, and I did. But I just said to 1FC, look, if you're not going to fight me, if I'm unable to do it due to, you know, what do you call it, vaccination stuff, so just can you please release me? It took a bit of time, but they did. And then, yeah, then I got an opportunity. I was lucky to get an opportunity with PFL, a bit of a late notice fight, and I was in Australia. I was stuck there, so I got to America 2 weeks before the PFL fight, and yeah, then I fought for the PFL, and that's when I moved on from 1FC. But I honestly, I really enjoyed 1FC. I think they're great. I like Chatri. I think he's a great boss. I think he's a great leader. You know, I love some of the things he used to say, some of the motivational speeches. I used to be right into him. And yeah, I like what 1FC were all about. They're about fighting, martial arts, and that's, you know, that's how they sort of got me into 1FC. And yeah, so it was a bit of a thing, but I always wanted to fight in America. It was a dream of mine to fight in America. That was a dream of mine. So to do it with the PFL was amazing. Unfortunately, I lost. But then I ended up having 2 more fights in America, which I won both of them. But yeah, that was always the scene I wanted to get on, the American scene, and you know, really make my mark there, and you know, and I think, you know, that was more designed for me. But hey, we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, it seems like one is kind of, they have a whole bunch of stuff going on at one time, right? So like the MMA, it kind of has, you know, from when you started off, it kind of has taken a step back.
Big time.
And Muay Thai is pushed forward. Yeah. Muay Thai is really pushed forward, and then the grappling actually is being pushed a little bit more, and then, you know, the kickboxing is there. It's almost there as much as the MMA. Yeah. But yeah, like, what'd you think of? Did you feel that, like, when you were with them, that they were gonna be pushing like away from MMA?
Well, I mean, it was always gonna be, in my opinion, hard to facilitate that many MMA fights. That was another reason why I sort of thought about getting out of 1FC, because in the lightweight division there was like 6 of us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much can you rotate 6 guys amongst each other? And also some of those guys were probably on big money. Like Christian Lee's, I'm assuming his contract would be worth a lot of money. So, you know, to get him to fight often, he's the star too, giving him all that money. How many guys you got to work with? Like 4 or 5 different opponents to, you know, really put on. And yeah, with Muay Thai, they got, you know, we're in Thailand now, bro. There's a kickbox on every corner, bro. Yeah. We'll go in the bar now and find a guy's probably had 300 fights. Yeah. So you could have a lot of, and that's what I noticed. I could see that happening, and I was like, look, man. I said, that's one other thing I said to Rich. I was like, I don't really see you guys putting on many lightweight fights, and you see it now. When's the last time you've seen a lightweight MMA fight? When's the last time we even seen Christian Lee?
We haven't.
Yeah, I think he's coming back. I did see a thing recently, but I thought he also retired. I know his brother fought recently.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like focused on his brother now.
Yeah, you know.
But
so
you're right. You're right.
So I noticed that a bit with the 1FC, and that's another reason I was like, look, even if I stay here, how consistent can they keep me? John Lineker's had to cross over to Muay Thai now, just to keep his fights going. So I noticed that, and that's a big problem I think with a lot of MMA is there are a lot of fighters, but not everyone wants to fight. Yeah, that's a big issue. So I think that's what 1FC's begun to notice. If they brought a lot of those Thai guys in, that would have been pretty cool for MMA. But unfortunately, yeah, I think it was easier for them just to have a lot of Muay Thai fights.
Yeah. Well, you know, if they brought a bunch of Thais in, they would have just gotten taken down and submitted. Like,
yeah, but I mean, I know, but it would have been cool if they stuck with that plan for a while and somehow they, because those Thai guys, I mean, if you teach them good enough, that'd be some special fighters in MMA, man. I'd like to see that, man.
Oh, I think there will be like a few Thais that are gonna come up. Like, they're still super young and they've already had 100 fights. They just transition over to wrestling. But man, that grappling shit is not easy to like start doing when you're 25 years old, right?
100%, bro. That's pretty much. I started when I was like 20. Like, really wrestling was when I was like 28 when I first started going to Killcliff. And mate, it was hard, man. I used to head over there. And some of the beatings I used to get, you know, you think striking's the most devastating, and it is, you're going to get knocked out. But when you wrestle with a high-level wrestler and he puts a pace on you that, yeah, it's suffocating. It's almost like you want to die. You're like, oh, come on, man, just fucking knock me out. Yeah. It hurts, bro. So that was, to me, I found it fun. I enjoyed it because I love learning new skills. So when I went over to America, it was like you said, it was very hard. But then it's that mentality. Because if you're a really good striker, that's one thing I find. And then you come over to wrestling, you hate it. Because you're used to doing your own thing. Now all of a sudden you're getting beaten up and thrown to the ground all the time. And you know, a lot of guys, that's what turns them off. Like, fuck this, I'll go back to striking. But I would like to see a couple of the Thai guys, get into more MMA. That'd be fun as hell to watch.
It's inevitable. It's bound to happen that there will because MMA, you know, you'll make more money than Muay Thai.
Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, that's what they want to make as money. And they want some stars from Southeast Asia. I'm guarantee you they do want, like just like how they wanted Wei Lee to become the champion eventually, you know what I mean, and make a good run and boost
back
up
to
China.
the business, back to the business side, back to the business side of things, for sure.
But for you, you know, you had that fight in PFL, and then after that you had a couple fights. You had a title fight as well, I believe.
Yeah, I fought in
You won
Alaska for a title, and then I fought in Nashville in July this year.
In Aries.
Yeah, Aries, that's it,
right? So that was this year, you know, so it's not like you haven't been competing.
And then I was meant to fight in March, but the guy pulled out, the so-called one of Australia's best, David Martinez, he pulled out on the day because he couldn't make weight apparently, and then he was sick also on the same day. I don't really know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was supposed to fight twice already. But yeah, that was another reason why I went over, started going to America, is because I was unable to find fights in Australia, and it's been a problem of mine for years. A lot of guys will call me out, but when it's time to sign the contract, they go missing. And you know, even through my early fights as well, I had a couple of opponents pull out on the day before. Lucky there were replacements. But yeah, like I said earlier, a lot of people want to be fighters, but not everyone wants to fight. And that's what I found in Australia. There's a lot of chit-chat, a lot of talk. So that's why I just thought, fuck, I'm going to America. I want to compete, and I want to get signed. So yeah, that's why I ended up in America fighting over there a bit.
Killcliff, man, like you went there a few years back. Are you still going to be going out there in the future? Or?
Look, man, as long as I can get there, I'm always going to go to America. I love my teammates over there. I love the coaches over there. I love the environment over there. I love the gym. And yeah, honestly, a lot of my success, because like I said, when I was stuck over in Australia for 2 years, I had that PFL fight. I am 10 times the fighter I was then, and it's because I went back to Killcliff. I was there for 9 months training with them straight because I had a visa, and I could just see how much my levels grew. So of course, I love Killcliff. I think it's one of the, hands down, one of the best gyms in the world, and also best teammates in the world. I couldn't ask for better friends and people that I met there. But yeah, anytime I can be in America training, I'm definitely going to be there.
Yeah, you see a lot of the, because it's an incredible team, dude. You guys have so many, like fighters from like different generations as well competing, and then now some of those fighters like Robbie Lawler and Nick Lentz, you know, just to name a few, are turning into coaches at the gym. That's insane.
Insane.
On top of like what you guys already have.
Because it's one thing to have a coach that has skills, but when you have a coach who has skills and has experience at the highest order, like Nick Lentz, Robbie Lawler, and the list goes on, it's amazing. Even, you know, back in the day, even having guys like Rashad Evans in there, you know, just that energy, Vitor Belfort, even just as the very small information they would give you, even Henry, he's the same. Like, they'll say one or two things to you maybe a week, and there's some of the most impactful things you'll have for months. You know, so these people, we're like, you know, they were lucky to have them in the room. That's why, like I said, if any chance I can be back at Killcliff, I'm going, man. It's an amazing environment. Like, your teammates not only are like that, everyone wants everyone to do good, and then like you said, then the coach is on top of it. It's the Mecca, man.
It's like someone's always in camp. Someone's always
and
that's fight.
That's another good thing about the gym. It's a very competitive. That's the thing that I say to a lot of fighters too. Is I'm like, there's a gym, then there's a fight gym. See, Killcliff is a fight gym. When I was at Killcliff for that 9 months, when I had my elbow operated on after the PFL fight, I reckon about 6 months in, everyone was like getting on my case all the time. Like, when are you fighting, bro? When you get like that, they're almost annoyed at you if you don't fight, and some people might see that as a bit intimidating, but that's also a great atmosphere to have in a fight gym. It's competitive. Everyone wants you to compete. They're pushing you to be better. And I think that's a great environment too. That's what also, I think, helped me. Not only the skill set, but the mindset and the competitiveness of the gym. It brings you to another levels. That you could, that, like I said, you just got to be involved in it to know what I'm talking about.
Well, you got like Ong and like Gilbert Burns as well. Those guys are in their late 30s, and you know they still can compete with the best of them. But they'll eventually become coaches as well at the gym.
Yeah,
right?
you'd hope so.
And one thing I noticed about Killcliff is it's not like American Top Team where you got like groups of coaches and cliques and stuff, and they train with this guy and they train with this guy, but they don't like train with. Like Killcliff's not like that, right?
Nah.
Everybody's together. Like if you're in the weight division, that's your crew.
Yes. That's sort of what happens. You sort of, when you're sparring and that, you get in your weight divisions, and then you sort of all, like, I actually became really, really good friends with Christos Yargos to the point where I've lived with him now for like 2 years in America. He's in my wedding. He's like family to me. Him and his beautiful wife Victoria just had a baby. Shout out to the young Yargos out there. Love yous all. And yes, I mean Christos, both 155ers. We became like two best mates, trained together, and man, that guy taught me so much as a fighter and everything. So yeah, it was amazing. And yeah, then you've got your groups of, I guess, weight classes, but at the same time, everyone's friends with everybody. That was one of the things that really drew me to Killcliff the most, is when I left Australia. I find Australia to be, well, where I was from potentially, maybe it's just me as a person, I felt like it was very, no one's looking at you until you made it. Everyone's looking away. No one's encouraging you. No one really cares. They're almost waiting for you to fail. Where when I went over to Killcliff, man, I had the energy and the honestly, the amount of support you got from guys that, like a guy like Linton Vassell. I mean, he is, he's a fucking, not only a giant of a person, but a giant of a personality. And bro, at the same time, he's one of the best heavyweights in the world, like hands down, one of the best. That's why I was saying it before. It's all about platforms and TV time, because Linton Vassell, you get him in front of any heavyweight in the world, and I'm telling you, on a good night, Linton can be a world champion.
Yeah.
As simple as that. But anyway, back to my point. The guy was so encouraging me, and he was just such a good person to me from day one. And yeah, you know what I mean? You think with such a star that he is, why would he even bother with me? But that's the level that Killcliff is. That if you're training here, you're one of us. You know what I mean? Like, we don't care if you're fighting on a local show or you're fighting for a world title. Everybody in here is here to work hard. We're all teammates. We encourage each other. And maybe that's built from Henry and Greg and stuff. But yeah, it's just a great environment to be in. It really is.
Now for yourself, you got the wedding coming up. So do you want to fight like right after that?
After it. I want to fight after it. Yeah,
right,
it's just too much on my plate at the moment. I mean, personally, there's the February UFC card. I would have loved to fought like around this time and then maybe get on that card there. But yeah, I would like to fight early next year and then see what happens from there.
Stay ready,
Yeah, well, you have to, and that's the only way to really. I've found out about this game as well. You can spar as much as you want, you can train as much as you want, but you really need to learn your craft within the cage. So that's why I went over to America, trying to amass as many fights as I could, and also I wanted to get away from, I'm not trying to say, but like the limelight of even Australia. I want to be in America where nobody knows me. Yeah. I can just walk into the room, I just get ready, wrap my hands, go out there and fight and go home. That's all I want to do, I just want to be good at this sport. I don't care to be, a superstar celebrity as well. So that was my main focus over the last few years, was just training, competing, and yeah.
So in Australia, are you talking with some of the promotions there? Because I'm pretty sure like any of those promotions would want you on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'd like to think the same, but the question is who they getting for me.
Yeah.
I asked Martinez, who's finally went up to welterweight. I mean, he had a chance, but he pulled out on the day before. Even there's another guy, that guy he's fighting. I forget his name off the top of my head. He called me out 3 times. 3 times I contacted Eternal to sign the fight. They didn't sign the fight because he apparently would be injured. I don't really know who they're going to get for me in Australia. But yeah, I mean, if they got some names and they got some interesting fights, I'm down for it.
Yeah, well, I think you should give a message to any lightweight. Are you lightweight, right?
Yeah, I'm lightweight.
Lightweight. So any lightweight in Australia that's willing to like put up their record against you, why not? You basically are a target now.
The only big thing, the one thing I only issue with the Australian fights is you better show up, because if you don't, like Martinez, you cost me $13,000. There's a lot of money. But number 2 is a lot of with Australian guys too, is like, the promoters, you got to give me a half decent payday because I go to America to train. I know that's on me, but at the same time, if you're not willing to bear that cost or at least compensate me in some way, well then I'm just going to go to America and fight. That's fine. I don't need you guys to fight. Like, I can always find fights in America, but I would love to fight in Australia. I love to fight in front of my people. But one thing I do say to those promoters is I go to America to prepare because I don't take anybody lightly. And when I go out there, I'm only out there to win. I'm not out there to put on a show or, you know, impress people. I'm there to win, bro. That's what I like to do. So yeah, promoters have to sort of meet in the middle in a sense. Do you know what I mean? I know it's hard to pay me the money that I'm asking for, but guys, I can't afford to lose like 10 grand a fight. You know, I've got a wife cut bad. My wife's expensive, right? Nah, she's not
All
really.
wives are.
She's the best. They are, aren't they? Love you, baby. I love you. But you know what I mean? I want to start a family. I want to have kids.
Sure.
Hey, I want nice things in my life too. So that's another big issue with a lot of promoters is I know you're dealing with a 24, 25-year-old who lives at home with mum and dad. You know, but I'm now a 33-year-old man. I've had 12 fights now, man. Like, I at least want to live just a little bit of it. That's all I'm asking, or even a break even. That's all I'm asking for. I had Hex. They were trying to organise me with Harry Webb. I made them an offer. They laughed it off. Made a ridiculously low offer, and then 2 weeks before the fight, they gave me my offer back. And I was like, look, guys, I just landed in America. Like, why didn't you come to the table all the way back then? So, you know, if there's some real promoters and some real fighters out there who want to get some business done, hey, man, I want to compete. But like I said, you know, just realise that I do go train with my team at Killcliff, and I will come over and give you the best performance that I can give you. But it costs some money, man, unfortunately. You know, this is an expensive, especially going to America. My camps, on average, they're costing me, you know, $15,000 a camp. And if I'm getting $2,000 for the fight, you know, like, yeah, man, you know, like
it's a hard life, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not complaining. I've set things up to make sure that I'm ahead in life, but I'm just going to say to the promoters, look, you got someone for me, A, they better show up, and B, man, just at least give me some sort of, you know, in the middle like part. Let's talk business, you know. I'm not trying to be offensive. Because that's another thing too with promoters. I'm open to conversation. You can say a number, I'll say a number. Let's try and meet somewhere in the middle. You know, I think people need to remove their egos sometimes. Like, oh, how dare you even ask that? All right, I didn't know. I'm not in that side of the business, you know. So, you know,
well, you're being a businessman. It goes back to the business side.
That's exactly right, man. Because it's all, now, like I say, I'm 33 years old. At the end of the day, with all these young fighters, you got to realise when it's all said and done, you'll be the only guy that cares about you anymore. Do you know what I mean? So make sure you look after yourself, you know, your life and that. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like when you retire, you want to have a house and some money, and you know, you don't want to be left with, you know, what, $2.50, and then you're still like staying at a backpackers at 30. It's like, come on, man. Like, I've lived low. I wouldn't mind to just take a step up for a while, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, hopefully, you know, you get your fights in, and you know, like you said, go back to America, fight wherever. You know what I mean? That they can take care of you.
Well, just for me, man, I'm happy to fight, and that's the thing. I'm happy to even take a loss, like in terms of money, but I need to be, you know, told. Like for instance, a Dana White contender fight. If you're offering me $2 grand for that, I'm taking it because I know that could be the step to making money. But I can't continuously go through these $2,000, $3,000 fights for another year or two, losing, you know, 10, 15 grand, you know. Then what? Then to be left with still without a UFC contract or a PFL contract, like I need to be, you know, paid a little bit. Like otherwise, you know, the business sort of closes down, which sucks. But it's the unfortunate truth, man. Like, you know, I want to have a family and kids and that, and I want to, you know, live a good life. And like I said, it's not like I'm sitting here with 3, 4, 5. I've had 12 fights now. Like, come on, man. And it's not like I've, you know, I pick and choose my fights to go all around America fighting in people's backyards. I fought in Alaska, bro. Who the fuck goes to Alaska? How many Australian guys do you reckon had an MMA fight in Alaska? Not many, if any, bro. And hey, on the way out, bro, there was only one hand wrapped, and they were like, oh, you got to go out. I'm like, bro, you've only wrapped one of my hands. They were like, oh. Yeah, okay, so they quickly wrapped my right hand. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I want to go back to, you know, making some real money, you know, professional fighting, because that's what I'm in it for, man. I admit, I'm not in it to be a fucking tough guy thug, but, you know, I want to be paid for this shit, bro, you know? So that's all I'm asking for.